How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a new series that I'm going to be working on where I'm going to document the overall progress of my winter build project on the R32. But first off, I just want to apologize. It has been a while since I've been able to work on a video like this. The last big one was addressing some issues on the exhaust side, changing out some gaskets, putting some paint on some parts, and just kind of overall making the engine bay look a little bit cleaner and tidier. There were even some comments in that video asking for a part 2. I had promised to make some as I worked on the intake side and added some more parts, etc. But unfortunately, 2018 was just a crazy busy year for me. A lot of accomplishments, a lot of milestones, some changes in responsibility. As you can tell, the garage looks a little bit different, so we did move to a new house. I got married this year and I accepted a new position at work. So a lot of stuff going on, and again, I apologize, I just didn't have the free time to work on small projects like this. There were also quite a few events that I wanted to attend and some projects that I had to knock out before that event. And again, I just didn't have the time to film it and go through everything step by step. I just kind of had to focus on it, knock it out, and make it to the event. So a lot has changed on the car, and I apologize that I didn't document that as it was happening, but now it's the winter build project, right? So as you can tell, the engine is out of the car. Things are going to be changing, to say the least. And the bonus of it being a winter build project is I'm going to have a little bit more time to interact with you guys, put together videos like this as I strip down the block, it goes off to the machine shop, gets reassembled, the overall tuning, and some shenanigans afterwards. So please like, subscribe, and follow this new series. This one is just part 1, kind of an intro again, saying hi, and I'm going to go over some of the parts that are going to be going on the block. So without further ado, let's check out some parts. So real quick, before we get into the breakdown, I did pull the motor already, obviously, but I pulled it as one with the transmission, and it actually goes rather smoothly. Your main issue is going to be getting part of the transfer case, where that front prop shaft comes back in, up and over these power steering lines, but otherwise that's going to be like your main hang-up. Just kind of take your time. Balance bar really helps out. Be careful, have somebody else watching because you are going to scratch up your core support a little bit. But yeah, just kind of some feedback. Kind of surprised how smooth it went. You kind of hear some horror stories, people telling you, oh no, you got to drop your transmission first. But really, it was out in a couple minutes. It really wasn't that bad. Alright, so I'm going to go on a hunch and say that this engine has been pulled at least once prior. When I went to get it ready to come out, I saw some marks around the nuts for the engine mounts on the front subframe, so it definitely looks like they've been loosened before. There's several other clips and fasteners that looks like they've been either replaced or definitely taken apart and put back on. If we go to the exhaust side, you can see some of the manifold covers on the turbo. Some of the bolts have been snapped off. Looks like they've definitely at least taken the turbos off to service them. I see some fresh plumber tape on some of the drain bolts. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna find once I crack this engine open. Maybe we'll find some goodies. Maybe they were just doing some regular maintenance. So I guess we will find out together. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the parts that are going into the bottom end. As we go through this, I'm not going to make the best hand model, as I definitely punched something taking everything apart, so I enjoy looking at that. So I'm going to be running a Wiseco piston and Manley rod combo. So let's take a look at the rods here. So out of the box, they give you this little traceability sheet. Let's get this in focus. It's got your part number on it, your work order number, the manufacturing date, also shows your total weight in grams, and a breakdown for both the big end and your pin end. Also on the box for the rods themselves, they are also marked with the weight. There we go. And let's take a look at one of these guys out of the box. There we go, there's a Manley rod. Be able to handle plenty of boost. The pistons are 86.5 mil, so I'm going to take it 0.5 over stock. In the box you have your pack of piston rings, and then taking a look at the pistons themselves. Compression ratio is an 8.2 to 1, so maybe a little bit lower, but I'm going to run a thicker head gasket to adjust for that. Going to be running a few Tomei goodies as well, so let's take a look here. I got the oil restrictor for the head, tiny little guy there. Going to be running their baffle plate, so here's the hardware kit that you get with it. Also going to be running the high-strength timing belt, and let's take a look at the baffle here. Trapdoors. Womp, 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 womp. So yeah, really nice quality. Going to be running the ACL race bearings for the both the rods and the mains. Using the ARP fasteners for the rod bolts as well as the head studs. Have the Cometic bottom end gasket kit, so everything that you need when you tear that bad boy down. OEM timing components, your idler pulleys and your tensioner pulley. Going to be replacing all the freeze plugs or welch plugs or whatever name that you want to call them. Also all brand new hardware, courtesy of Raw Brokerage. So make the block look nice and pretty again. To address one of the bigger Achilles heels in the RB motors, I'm going to be running the Spool Imports spline drive setup. So very similar to the JZ motors. This will ensure that that oil pump's going to be a little bit more bulletproof and be able to take a bit more abuse there. So again, another awesome product. I mean, so many of these parts. I mean, the manufacturing and craftsmanship behind them is just amazing. Kind of a shame that it's all going to be buttoned up in the motor. You're not going to be able to see it. Going to be running a Franklin Engineering head drain setup to help get some of that built up oil in the head back down to the sump. Zoom in on this guy here. There we go. Another nice piece. Give you quite a few different AM fittings for the block as well as for the line connections. I have some extra steel braided lines, so I didn't need to get the complete kit, I just need the ones with all the parts. And then lastly for the block, we just have an OEM water pump. So sticking with OEM over the N1, it's definitely going to be seeing a lot more track days, but its primary purpose is still going to be just a really fun weekend car. So right now I don't need the N1 pumps, maybe in the future, but for now OEM's going to be plenty fine. Decided to go with a Ross Performance damper. It's a full metal jacket, harmonic damper. Just a lot more feedback and positive reviews that I see in the forums. A lot of guys overseas, obviously in Australia, running these. Really glad that I decided to go with this over the fluid damper. The quality and just overall construction of this is very impressive. It's a really good quality piece. For the fuel system, I'm going to be running a mix of Radium, AEM, and Deechworks components. I'm going to be running the Radium fuel rail. I actually picked this up off a buddy of mine who was parting out his RB. But I did get the Radium fuel pressure regulator. So get this thing focused here. There we go. Very nice piece. Also comes with a bag of the fixtures, fittings, etc. to make that puppy go on. Be running the Radium fuel pulse dampener. And then the Radium pressure gauge. So we'll really tie that piece in. For the fuel pump, I chose the AEM 320 liter per hour pump. Decided not to run the 85 one. The main reason there's not a whole lot of 85 stations around me. That's not really my main goal right now. So perfect pump for my application. As far as getting that fuel into the cylinders, going to be running Deechworks 1000cc injectors. Let's see if we can get that. So in the box, you got your injectors. Also comes with a card. This out. And it shows you your flow rates. So that way you could match it up to whatever's best balancing the motor. Obviously, whichever one flows the highest, I'm going to be putting at cylinder 6 and working my way backwards because cylinder 6 tends to run a bit leaner. And so there's your injector package there. New OEM gasket for the fuel tank. So once I replace that pump, gasket to replace that. And then I'm going to be wiring up the pump to a 12 volt constant. So here's just a relay and wire kit for when I do that. And last but not least, the fun stuff. As far as the turbo, I'm going to be running a Garrett 3582R. Has a 0.83 hot side, so should have a pretty solid mid-range as far as some good spool and throttle response. Not really going for a super high horsepower top-end Munster. Routing the exhaust gases to the turbo is a badass piece from Fuse Fabrication. T3 flange to the turbo, 50mm dump for the wastegate. Has titanium hardware for the mounting of the turbo, and I also have that burnt color titanium hardware for mounting the manifold itself to the head. And then some Tomei exhaust gaskets to make sure everything's all nice and sealed up. Metering and controlling all that air is going to be a pair of new OEM Z32 mass airflow sensors, and also running the TurboSmart race port bypass valve. Running the TurboSmart 50mm wastegate as well, but I'm still waiting for that part to be delivered. Making sure the power gets to the ground is a spec clutch twin disc. It's the P-trim kit, so it'll handle over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. The kit comes with all the bearings that you need. It has an alignment tool in the kit. I've read nothing but great things about this and even gotten direct feedback from a couple friends that the drivability on this and pedal engagement feels almost like stock, but it provides that clamping force that you need when you're running higher power output. For some increased cooling, I'm going to be running a GK Tech radiator fan. They say it increases airflow by approximately 30%, but you also have to get one of these little adapter rings that will fit the fan clutch on the RB. Alright, well that's going to wrap it up for part one. That's the current parts list for now. There's plenty more parts to be delivered and some that I just haven't even ordered, so more to come in the future. I'm really excited. I've never done a level of build like this. I've either swapped a motor or maybe upgraded a turbo or done tuning, but I've never actually cracked open the block and built it for some serious power, so I'm excited to see where this goes. I hope you guys are excited too. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what you guys want to see. Coming up in part two, we're going to address the exhaust side of this engine as it gets torn down and that short block gets ready to go off to the machine shop and be assembled. So stick around, as always, have a good one.